Hey guys, welcome back to another Conan Exiles video. Today we're going to be delving into some of the finer aspects of Mek's lore in a more informal setting I'm calling raw lore. You guys seem to enjoy this format for the previous video, which was about Kurak, Nyarlathotep and Azathoth, so we'll continue it today. That being said, without further ado, let's begin with a brief recap of where things currently stand. At the end of the Age of Sorcery, Conan interrupts Mek's ritual to destroy the Curse Wall and beheads him. However, Mek is indeed not dead, which leads us to the main focus of today's topic: how did Mek survive, and what new body will he take? The first question is something that I think is quite interesting to look into. How did Mek survive being beheaded? Well, I believe the answer is quite simple: control of the arcane and a connection to the outer dark. There are a few things that lead me to this assertion, but I think it's important first to look at the death-defying characters in the lore. In-game, those examples are Tyros the Deathbringer, the Witch Queen, the Priest King, and Petruso. Tyros was cursed by his father the Priest King, and that sorcery will not allow him to die. The Witch Queen is incorporeal, her soul being kept alive within the mask. The Priest King is revived by the Diadem of the Giant Kings, and finally Petruso is kept alive by the Sandstorm Elemental that he bound to himself. With that, we can break down the core reasons of their undeath into three categories: a curse, the spirit of revenge, and a powerful artifact. There are a couple of death-defying characters in the wider lore too, Xaltoten and Tulsa Doom. However, they're both members of the Elder race, with Xaltoten being part Giant King, and I believe the son of the Kinscourge, and Tulsa Doom being a full-blown member of that race. Xaltoten was also revived by the Heart of Ahriman, which puts him into the same category as the Priest King. As far as we know, Mek is not a member of the Elder race, and his features don't align with the features of somebody of the Elder race, so we can rule that out. Looking at those aforementioned categories, those being curse, revenge, and a powerful artifact, does Mek fit into any of these? Well, there's no powerful artifact keeping him alive that we know of, and I think if there was one we would have already been shown it, so we can rule that out. A curse is possible. After all, Kurak did utter the curses of the Outer Dark before we killed him. Well, yes, but surely that curse would land upon us, not Mek. It's possible that Mek could have been collateral, but of all the curses of the Outer Dark, unending life doesn't seem like one of the worst ones to have, at least not yet. Therefore, I don't think it's a curse. Finally, the spirit of revenge. Mek seeks revenge, yes, but in a very different way than the Witch Queen. My interpretation of the Witch Queen has always been unbridled fury, a soul imbued with rage and indignation. Mek wants revenge against Tothamon, but he's not consumed by it. His thoughts are clearly ordered and logical, and thus I don't think he's kept alive by revenge. Even in death he seems very cold, stoic and methodical, so again I just don't think that lines up. So, if Mek doesn't fit any of these concepts, how did he survive his own beheading? Well, we know from Kurak's death monologue that he managed to augment his own life through a connection to Nyarlathotep and the Outer Dark. However, that didn't seem to save him when we liberated his head from his body. Why? Well, I think Mek says that best.
Kurak is chaos, a tangled knot of 1,000 serpent heads devouring 1,000 tails. I, on the other hand, am precision. I am control.
That one phrase perfectly sums up the difference between Kurak and Mek, and gives us a perfect segue into how the latter could survive a beheading, but Kurak did not. In the Chapter 2 Battle Pass tableaus, Mek himself writes of a connection to the Outer Dark. I communed with devils and embraced the power of the dark arts. Whilst not Nyarlathotep's minion in the same way that Kurak was, Mek himself has had dalliances with the beings of the Outer Dark or a similar realm for just as long as Kurak, if not much longer. I don't think it would be appropriate to say that Mek is outright a more powerful sorcerer than Kurak, but by that deep and lengthy connection to the Outer Dark, that deep corruption may have been his saving grace. Mek does not line up with any of the other traits or circumstances surrounding immortality or resurrection. He's not possessed or cursed, he's not a vengeful spirit, and unlike Xaltoten of Python or Tulsa Doom, he is human. Therefore, I believe it's a pretty fair estimation that Mek was saved from the clutches of death by that deep, tangible and lengthy connection to the Outer Dark. We know that the demons and the beings of the Outer Dark have that ability to augment and change life as humans know it. And frankly, there are probably powers untold in the dark reaches of, well, the Outer Dark. Kurak had something of a similar connection, but that connection didn't save him. That is due to his chaotic nature. Kurak lacks the stoic control that Mek has, and whilst Kurak could control that power in life, Mek was also able to control it in what should have been his death. Therefore, I believe that by virtue of that control of such powerful magic, Mek was therefore able to survive what should have been his death. So with that, on to question number 2, what body will Mek take? Well, there isn't exactly a wealth of options currently that we know of. Mek could be grafted onto the body of a golem, but I doubt he'd want that. He probably desires something a bit more human, and frankly probably has no interest in becoming the Conan Exiles version of Adam Smasher. I don't think he'll end up being reunited with his old body, as that seems to have just, well, disappeared. It's possible some animal could have taken it to eat, Conan could have thrown it aside, or perhaps it was destroyed in the fires, but I'm pretty sure his natural body is out of the question, unless of course he sends us on a quest to find it. Of course, Mek could simply hunt down an appropriate human body from, well, basically anyone within the Exile lands. That being said, there is one body that could be a good fit for Mek, assuming it hasn't decomposed too much. Kurak's headless body, as far as we know, still lays in his lair. The last time we saw it, the lair was riddled with poison gas, but it's possible that the body of Kurak could be a good fit for Mek if we can recover it. What that would do to Mek's power, given Kurak's connection to Azathoth and Nyarlathotep, however, is something very interesting to consider. The final option for Mek's new body could be something not of this earth. If he cannot find a human body suitable, he may need to, again, commune with the demons of the Outer Dark, who could likely grant him a new body at a cost. If Mek is bound to the body of a demon or some other horrific form, it could prove intriguing, though the consequences could also be dire. However, that being said, I think there are probably a bit too many variables as of right now to truly guess what body Mek will take, or even which ones he can take. We don't know much about the nature of how corruption and the arcane actually work on a mechanical level, but due to his insane level of sorcerer's power, he may need a body that can properly mirror his own energy. If that's the case, that severely reduces his options. It may end up being a question of what body Mek can take, rather than which body he chooses. And I think that about wraps up today's Raw Lore video. There's definitely not enough information yet to even really have a half-solid guess at what body Mek will end up taking, but I think the reason behind his survival can be pretty solidly attributed to control of the arcane and a connection to the Outer Dark. Of course, if or when information comes up that changes that assertion, I will cover it in a future lore video. Thanks for watching, and of course a massive thanks to our wonderful esteemed coffee cultists for continuing to support the channel over on Patreon. If you have any topics you'd like me to cover in future Raw Lore videos, do let me know. I'm open to tackling pretty much anything in the lore. Again, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.